Gym for a couple of years, and she never talked to me, never said a word. And then one day she said, "Hey, I kind of want to do a competition. Would you help me out?" And then we set some goals. And this year she achieved her ultimate goal in her second season with me.
Yes.
Miss IFBB Bikini Pro.
Bikini.
Woo!
Sorry, Miss Figure
My
Pro.
brain.
Listen, yeah, literally, I'm struggling to Figure Pro clearly.
Yeah.
But it's been not always easy. It's been
No.
fun. So I wanted JoJo to talk about that process, about, well, I'll let her tell her story. So
Where I kind of came from and
yeah.
got to and how I got there. Oh my goodness. I'm really nervous. I'm gonna start that
Aw.
way. Super nervous. Never actually had to stand up in front of a group and speak. Oh, about my story. Anyway.
We love you, JoJo.
Anyway, defining my strength through fitness. Yes, there was a lot of strength gained through fitness, and that's the journey I chose. Where I started, let's see. Finding something new, group fitness. First of all, I'm a mom. I'm married. I'm going to be married soon for 25 years. I have 3 boys, my oldest being 38, middle one 30, and my youngest 22. I got married very young and had my first boys, and it was not a happy time in my life. It was challenging. There was a lot of addiction in my marriage, not from me, but from my spouse. So I became a single mom, and I had the 2 boys, and I found something to make me feel better, and it was this, fitness. It was joining a gym, kind of like that. So maybe I need new friends. I don't know. Maybe that's. So, thank you guys again for all coming out. If you don't know, I'm Lauren Conlon, owner of Loco Fit, and I want to really talk to you guys about the mental aspect of competing. So I know that we have a lot of seasoned competitors in here, but I know that we also have some new people into competing, and you might just be novice in general. And honestly, the mental aspect of competing is everything, right? JoJo just touched on it. But really where you are off season and during prep is so key. And a lot of people who are getting into this don't really know that. And that's why we've been seeing a lot of backlash maybe on social media, like, oh, competing ruined my life and this and that. And it can, if you're not ready. And it's not competing's fault. So I want to kind of, delve a little deeper into this. And there's very critical things for both off season and competition prep, in my opinion. So you want to compete, right? They are very different, off-season and prep, but they are both very important. And in this talk, not everybody here is interested in physique stuff, but just in general, if you're trying to apply this information to somebody else, I'm saying off-season and prep, but this could be for anything, just like regular dieting, for like a lifestyle client. If you have clients or family, friends, whatever, this is for everybody. Like a calorie restriction is a prep, and then not calorie restricted would be off-season in this context. Obviously, being a physique competitor, the goals are more extreme at the end, but you can still take this away for everybody else. So, off-season physical guidelines. Like, these are a few things that need to be in check first and foremost, in my opinion. So, a few key points. Multiple months of not being in a deficit, number 1. I know competing can be very exciting and people can get on a high with it, and you kind of get almost like addicted to competing. And anybody who's ever competed and enjoyed it will be there. Multiple months not in deficit. Hormones are in check. The only way to know if your hormones are in check or to get them tested. A lot of people will say, oh, I feel like this is happening or this might be happening. And it might be, but we honestly have no idea, and we're just shooting in the dark unless you get your hormones tested. So that's gonna be really important, having those balance in the check. Hunger signals are normal. Normal hunger levels, like, oh man, I just trained, I could like go for, I could eat a lot of food right now. Not like erratic, like hunger like you have after you've dieted. Training hard and recovering. That's super important, right? We all know that at the end of a diet, we're training and we're kind of just going through the motions, right? We kind of feel like a trash bag 24/7. If you're not recovering, you may or may not be getting a pump in the gym. Everybody's laughing because you know what I'm talking about. In the off season, this is not how you should be feeling. Okay, there's obviously gonna be hard sessions, but in general. And then sleep is regulated. That's crucial too. It's a huge disturbance that we see with dieting, but off season, we need to make sure that sleep is also regulated. Now, off season mentality, not food focused. This is very different than being a foodie or simply enjoying food. Anybody knows me? I love to eat. I love to eat good food. I love to eat healthy food. I love to eat, we'll call it calorically dense food. And I enjoy, planning things around eating, right? but it's not in an off-season period. It should not be like the focus, like 24/7. What am I going to eat? How much? But like that is again something that happens during prep, but should not be in an off-season period. Use planning or prepping meals. This is super kind of an interesting thing that I never really thought of as an off-season trait, right? Because I was this person. After a diet, I want to throw them on my food scale, burn my Tupperware, not want to see a prepped piece of chicken another goddamn year, okay? Like, none of that. But if you are mentally in a good place in your off-season, you should be able to prep food and stick to some kind of a structured plan. Like, I'm all about structure and flexibility together, but we do have to have structure if you have physique goals in mind. So the wanting to burn your Tupperware thing, that usually will subside after a few weeks of your contest prep, but you are not ready to leave an off-season phase. Absolutely not ready if you cannot pre-plan and prep food and stick to some kind of a program. Because then prep is going to be an absolute catastrophe. Flexibility to eat out or eat non-prep foods. Okay, so overall, just in general, in the off-season, we have a lot more flexibility with calories and just with choices, right? Like, something comes up, oh, I missed a meal, I can just make it up later, whereas in prep, that's probably not happening, right? Not resorting to fuck it's every time something food-related is out of your control. Sorry, I curse. That's just me. And those episodes can happen, especially towards the end of a prep or right after a prep, and it's very, this is something that can happen, and it happens to me all the time, every time I finish a diet.
Okay, so similarly to JoJo, I'm very nervous. I dropped out of basically every college class that required me to do a presentation. So I am not a public speaker, although I do YouTube, which seems kind of weird. Public speaking is not my thing, so bear with me. But basically I want to talk about two kind of main topics today, but I'll start off with my competition history and like fitness background. So I really got into fitness early 2016. Before that I was kind of like the abs, cardio, under eating type of thing. Then I got a trainer at my local gym who kind of introduced me to bodybuilding, and he told me I could compete probably the first time I met him, and I was like, never in a million years will I ever compete. I was like, couldn't do the diet, like I would never step on stage, so it's just crazy that I am where I am now. So I did my first prep with him. I stepped on stage in April of 2017, and I took first in my class, and I was like super happy, super pumped. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to nationals this year. And this was the year that Anthony and I moved across the country. We drove across, and this was 4 weeks out from USA's. So not the smartest choice, not the best circumstances to compete in, but I was very stubborn and I was like, nope, I'm going for it. So I went to USA's, did not bring my best. My coach at the time, not Paul actually, didn't talk to me my whole peak week, so he kind of just like left me hanging on Sunday of my peak week. So it was just not a good time. So I got no placing. I got like third or fourth call outs, came in basically last. Didn't bring my best, but so I was very disappointed. Didn't take the loss very well. I was pretty just like pissed off at the time. So then I entered my off season. I took about 7 or 8 months, really took it seriously, and built the muscle that I needed, built my metabolism up, so I was eating a decent amount of food. And I'll show you guys in the next slide the importance of the off season that I took. But so then I found Paul, and we started prep in January for Cal State Championships, which was I had to do a regional show to qualify again for nationals this year.
All right, so you guys know who the heck I am, I hope. My name's Barbell Own Pro. These are all my friends and clients. These are just what we're going to talk about. Prep length, how fat loss actually works, training style, what kind of cardio to use, should you do a meal plan or flexible dieting, what is a metabolism, how to peak for stage properly, stage presence, supplementation, and then short versus long-term goals. And by that I mean, should you focus on which, right? So how long to prep for stage? This is a really, really important question. You have to give yourself enough time. And if you have a specific instance, I'll go over that when we do our questions. But one of the biggest issues I have is someone coming to me from somewhere else. They've been under eating, over cardioing, and they want to do a show in 12 weeks and they have 40 pounds to lose, right? So the proper amount of time, it's it's variable, but it just comes down to basically what your goal is for the stage, where do you want to place, where your calories are at, and how much body fat you have to lose to get to that position to reach that goal. Because for some people, it's just about getting on stage. For other people, it's about being Miss Bikini Olympia or Miss Figure Olympia, right? So it's about how we get to that goal. And you cannot get this feedback from your friends at the gym. Every one of you in here looks amazing in the gym, okay? Oh, you look so ready for your show. You're all gonna hear that. That's bullshit. Your coach needs to be honest with you. He needs to be brutal. Like, no, you're not ready for the national stage. The sport is brutal. So if you have expectations of going into a show that you're not ready for because people have propped you up, the sport's gonna punch you in the face and you're gonna hate it, okay? It's been one of the hardest things for me to learn as a coach. It's way better to be blunt and honest and tell people what they need to hear than to sugarcoat things and be like, no, you look great. Yeah, let's go to nationals. Yeah, let's get fourth call outs. That's fun. It's not fun. How long should an off season last? That really comes down to what your goal is. What's the next step for you? When Natalie came to me, when Paige came to me, and even JoJo, I knew they were ready for the national stage once we got them into the right condition. Some girls that competed this year, I said, listen, we're taking the whole of 2019 off. If your goal is to turn pro, it's not gonna happen with another 6 months off season, okay? You have to spend the time that it takes to build muscle. We do this naturally. As far as I know, everybody in here does it naturally. It takes a little bit longer, but it's a more sustainable process that way, and I enjoy it. And so that means we have to spend the amount of time it takes to get there. You can't short-term it's bodybuilding. Every time you go into a prep, you're cutting off your progress, okay? And it's not just when prep ends that progress kicks back. It just takes you months after a show to get back to building muscle again. Mostly you're just restoring right after a show. I don't know, you guys might have heard I've been doing this thing lately, talking about how actually fat loss works, but I'll explain it in real layman's terms because I love this visual. So if we think of the fat on our body as a pool of water, right? And at the beginning of prep, when we're just starting to lose the first couple pounds, we're skimming the water off the top of the pool, right? So not until you get to that bottom of the pool is prep over. But what's at the bottom of the pool? Probably the thing that you hate most on your body. The fat on your thighs, the fat on your glutes, the fat, for me, it's on my lower back, okay? Lower abs. You cannot get to the bottom of the pool until you get all the fat off those other areas. And for females, I mean, I have some girls that are shredded from here up, every striation in their shoulder, and they still have 10 pounds to lose in their lower body. It's individual person to person, but you're not gonna get there until all the fat comes off. So the reason I say that is because people often say, well, what exercise should I do to get my glutes leaner? You train the glutes to build them up, but we're gonna use diet and cardio to get the body fat off. It's not a magic exercise that you're not doing, okay? So how should you train during prep? Short answer here is how you trained in the off season. Continue training hard. The only time that I really change training during prep is when we get to the end and it's nitty gritty, and I don't really want you lifting too heavy. I don't want you trying to hit PRs, even a 5 rep max. I'll go to a more hypertrophy based program. I might even add more frequency just to allow you to be in the gym burning some extra calories instead of doing a bunch of cardio. But what builds muscle keeps muscle, all right? And I think you guys have probably all heard this by now, but we're not gonna start doing 30 rep sets all day, every day to slice the fat, right? To get shredded off the high rep sets. Steady state versus HIIT cardio. Now this is something that Lauren and I have discussed on the podcast a little bit, and it's something we've kind of changed our opinions on over the years. We both worked with a coach, Lane, who beat the crap out of us with HIIT cardio. And to his credit, Lane had a lot of success with it. And I had a lot of success doing prep with HIIT cardio in. This year I have not done any HIIT cardio. So my philosophy on HIIT cardio has kind of changed. If someone loves HIIT cardio, they're like, Coach, I just want to get out there and run through a wall. Great, I'm all for it. I really feel like the value in HIIT cardio is more at the early stages of prep, when we have a little more energy and we recover better. The real problem with HIIT cardio, and the research shows this, is that after a HIIT cardio session, yes, during HIIT cardio, you guys all know what HIIT cardio is, right? High intensity intervals, sprinting. During those sessions, they lead to more caloric burn over the next 42, 48, 72 hours, right? That's what it shows. But what it doesn't show is that it also leads to much, much lower NEAT, because you're so beat up and so tired from that. When you go home, you don't get off the couch. You literally just lay there. Your knee goes way down. So is it better to do tons of HIIT cardio and then find out that you're not actually able to like live your life? I have found that I've just done all steady state cardio this year. I've been much better. I promised before today, prep was very smooth for me, doing a little bit of depletion right now, but I've never felt this good getting this lean, and I've just had so much better progress with my clients this year by pulling the HIIT cardio out and allowing them to use more steady state. Now, the variable there is time. It requires more time to do steady state. However, it's easier to recover from. I feel like it's not as taxing. Workouts stay better. Any of us can get on an incline treadmill and walk pretty successfully, okay? Meal plan versus flexible dieting. This is another topic that, you know, a couple of years ago, if you told me that you weren't on a meal plan, I'd say you were an idiot. Lauren, you're an idiot for doing a meal plan. No, we've come back to realize that, you know, flexible dieting is great and all, but it's all in the context of what you define. Anyone that's going to be successful in prep is going to create a meal plan. The difference is it's not going to be given to you. It's not these 5 foods that you eat every single day. So you heard Paige describe her process for prep. That process includes creating these extravagant things, but she has a plan. That's part of her plan every day. I'm super boring. I eat the same stuff almost every day. But after a couple days, I'll be like, you know what? This week, I'm sick of chicken. I'm switching to pork or lean ground beef. So I find ways to make it flexible for me, but I still have a plan in my head. I still got my icon meals in the fridge. I know what I'm gonna eat from day to day. The worst thing you can do at the end of prep, when your motivation and your drive are all being stressed, is not have a plan and just have to reach for food and try to guesstimate your macros and try to hit them for the day. So now we've used the term structured flexibility, right? You have a structure, but you build some flexibility into that. So foods you enjoy, changing things in and out as you see fit. I'm not really gonna explain what metabolism is. It's just when you eat food, it's all the processes, the chemical reactions that go on in our body. The reason I talk about metabolism, it's a trendy phrase. Like, oh yeah, I'm so hungry all the time, my metabolism's really burning. Hunger and metabolism are not that correlated, especially during prep, okay? It is something we want to pay attention to around the off season and during competition prep. We want to pay attention to making sure we optimize our metabolic rate. But I got bad news. Even if you get up to 600 carbs a day and 200 grams of fat, when it comes down to do prep, your body's probably going to get down to that same place it got the previous prep to lose the weight. It's adaptable maybe a little bit, but not nearly as much as it can seem like it should be. You know, I've seen, you know, people who have these crazy metabolisms in the off season. It's very adaptable up, but it seems to adapt back down just as quickly, okay? So don't get too excited if your numbers get great, but if we can even turn the needle just a little bit, there's a benefit there, right? If we can eat just a little bit more during prep. Yeah.
When a lot of people think that when you eat more in the off season, it's going to be better for your prep maybe, but really what it's better for is the off season. So the more you can eat, the harder you can train, the more you can recover. And like that's really what the benefit is. Not necessarily like, oh, you have to eat a little bit more during prep. Usually like off season is going to be better.
So peaking for stage comes down to one important factor. That's actually being stage lean. If you're not stage lean, peaking for stage is a guessing game. So what is being ready for stage? Glute tie-ins, hip tie-in. She's not doing her side pose, but if you did, you'd see the dip in her hip right here. That's what I'm looking for in a bikini competitor. If it's a figure competitor, I'm looking for separation in the upper quads, okay? Mostly with females, it's gonna come down to lower body conditioning. So if you're in the front pose in bikini, this hip is like huge right here, okay? If you're in the back pose, it's going to be how the hamstrings and glutes tie in. This line right here that comes around your little oblique lower back tie-in for girls, that's huge. Having that weeks out before a show, that's fun. That's when we can start adding some food back in and preparing the body to peak properly, because the best peak is a competitor who's already